armies faced each other across the valley. Out of the Philistine ranks stepped Goliath, hairy, sweaty, the size of a small mountain. "Where's this so-called champion of yours?" he roared. "Where's this poor, misguided mutt who's just had his last breakfast?" Out stepped David, the shepherd boy, looking like someone who should still be at school. "I think he means me," he said, and he scrambled down the hillside towards the Philistines. When he came to a dried-up stream, he stopped and scrabbled about in the stones. "Is this the best you can do, Saul?" jeered Goliath. "I'll tear his arms and legs off and feed his kidneys to the foxes." "I've got the God of the Israelites on my side," shouted David. "Him and me are going to chop your head off." "Oh, yeah," chortled Goliath, "the famous God in a box. Let's see how he likes this." And he twirled his big bronze javelin. Nearer and nearer he came, his bronze fillings glinting in the sun. Then he leered as he threw back his throwing arm and thought of the hole he was about to drill in his opponent's stomach. David whipped out his catapult, loaded a stone, and fired. There wasn't a loud noise, just a thwack, like an egg dropping into a bowl of porridge. Goliath frowned and put his hand to his head. His fingers were all red. Then a little trickle of blood ran out of his nose and splattered onto his armour. He frowned, looked at David with a puzzled look in his eyes, and then crashed to the ground and lay completely poleaxed in front of David. David drew his sword from the giant's massive scabbard and brought it down hard. The Philistine army gasped. Then David lifted up Goliath's head and showed it to the Israelite army. There was a puzzled silence, then, "Yeah, the Philistines could be beaten. A little kid like David could blow away their champion." The Israelites raced down the hillside with swords drawn. Would the Philistines turn and run, or would they stay and fight? Whoosh, they'd gone, over the mountains, across the plains, and back to their fortified cities. The Philistine push had been broken! Saul rolled up and pinned a medal on David's chest. "Have this," he said, "and this, and this, and this, and this." Soon, David's whole front was covered in medals. "And you want to be a general? I'll make you a general. And you've got to come and stay at the palace, OK? And have you met my daughters? You'll love them. We are going to have a great time. A great time. Come on. Drive on." As they rode back, everyone was cheering and throwing flowers, and the crowd was singing, "Saul has killed thousands, Saul has killed thousands." "Great people, the Israelites," said Saul. "Saul has killed tens of thousands, Saul has killed tens of thousands." "What was that?" snapped Saul. "Saul has killed tens of thousands," went the crowd. "Stop the chariot! Stop the chariot!" ordered Saul, and he leant across his driver and he shouted to the crowd, "What was that you were singing?" "Saul has killed thousands," they went. "Not that bit, the next bit." "David has killed tens of thousands," they went. Very amusing, yes. Exaggeration for comic effect. I like that. But he didn't say another word for the entire journey. Saul's headquarters were fantastic. David had a ball. Thousands of soldiers saluting him, loads of brilliant machines to have a go on. Dinner was a bit oppressive. Saul just sat there sharpening his spears. But then David picked up his harp, and as soon as he started to play, Saul mellowed out. He hummed along, he tapped his fingers in time to the music. Then the song finished. There was a beautiful silence. Then, "Saul has killed thousands." Somewhere outside, two servant girls were singing. "David has killed tens of thousands." Thunk! One of Saul's spears buried itself deep in the wall about an inch from David's ear. "Dad," said Jonathan, "what did you do that for?" "Me? Me?" said Saul. "I didn't do anything. I mean, it just sort of slipped out of my hand. Sorry." Immediately, David started to play again, really soothing stuff this time. And once again, Saul's face blissed out, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. The song came to an end. David has killed tens of thousands. David ducked. Thunk! Another spear buried itself in the wall just where David's head had been. Sorry, my mistake, said Saul. It's this twitch in my arm. Sorry, it won't happen again. Dad, calm down, said Jonathan. David has just won a big victory for us. I know, said Saul. He's wonderful, he's marvellous. He can marry my daughter Merab. I don't want him, said Merab. I don't fancy him. Did I say Merab? I meant Michelle. Sorry. Michelle, come in here, please. Michelle came into the room. Wow, thought David. I've been out with a few tasty birds in my time, but this one takes that biscuit. And he flashed her the kind of smoochy smile that he used to give to his audiences when he was singing his slow love songs. Zap, he thought. She's blushing. If she will have me, I will be more happy than words can say, he said a bit smoothly. But how can I ever repay you? Dad doesn't need payment, said Jonathan happily. Don't I? No, I don't, said Saul. Yes. Wait a minute. There is one thing you can get for me. Certainly, said David. Anything, Your Majesty. The foreskins of 200 dead Philistines. David thought for a moment. 200, he said. Yup. That's what you really want? Yup. Fair enough, Your Majesty, said David, picked up a fruit knife and left town. Oh, Daddy, said Michelle. I do hope he's okay. But Saul didn't reply. He just sat there with a twitchy, twisted smile on his face. 2 days later, there was the sound of cheering, the door burst open, and there was David. Dumph! He threw a big leather bag onto the table. There you are, Your Majesty, he said. You can count them if you like. Oh, David, you're wonderful, said Michelle. Isn't he, Daddy? But Saul didn't say a word. He just stared at his future son-in-law and picked up a spear. I've just got to pop out again for a minute, said David. Doof! The spear buried itself into the door behind him. Saul behaved incredibly badly at the wedding. When he gave his daughter away, he said good riddance, and in his speech, he didn't mention one of David's victories. So when David and Michelle got back from their honeymoon in Eilat, they decided to get a place of their own. They needed to. Every time Saul saw David, he got out one of his spear sharpeners. It's a lovely little place. Nice little chairs, nice little tables, nice little altar to the god of the Israelites over in the corner. Lovely little statues of the corn god and the thunder god over the fireplace, just to be on the safe side. Then, one evening, as Michelle was on the balcony getting the washing in, she thought she saw something moving in the garden. Dave, she hissed. I think there's someone outside. David peered out from behind the curtain. It's the SAS, Mish, he hissed. Your dad's hit squad. Leave them to me, said Michelle. You nip out the back way. And she picked up the kitchen mop. A few minutes later, there was a polite knock at the door. Michelle opened it, and 3 masked men burst in and flung her against the wall. Where's your husband? Said a muffled voice. We're taking him with us. He's in there, said Michelle, but you can't take him. He's really ill. The commandos burst into the bedroom. A huddled figure lay under the bedclothes. One of the commandos lifted up the duvet and felt David's head. His hair was all cold and clammy. Ugh! Went the commando. It's fever. I suppose you could take him in the bed, suggested Michelle. Here he is, Your Majesty, said the commandos. And boof! They dumped the bed down in front of Saul. The king chuckled like a maniac, picked up a spear and voo! Plunged it deep into the sleeping body. Your little plan didn't work, he said, did it? And vow! Rammed another spear deep into the bedclothes. You thought you could take my crown, didn't you? Vuff! Woof! Woof! 3 more spears stuck out of the bed like cocktail sticks in a grapefruit. But you were wrong. Woof! Dead wrong. Vah! One of the commandos slowly peeled back the bedclothes. It's not David, Your Majesty. Go on, said the king. It's a statue of the corn god with a kitchen mop on its head. Sorry. Saul howled like a dog. Little patches of spit appeared in the corners of his mouth. "That man," he said, "is driving me mad!" Samuel's school for trainee holy men was high in the mountains, far away, the perfect place for David to hide. Every morning, the young trainee holy men would come out to their big rock and practice praising their God, waving their arms in the air, jumping up and down, tearing their hair out, till it was time to go into their classes. So it was behind the big rock that the 3 commandos waited to snatch David. Out came Samuel, out came the holy men, and praise the Lord, they started jigging around, and it was a really funky rhythm. Juggada, juggada, da, 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 juggada, 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 da, 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 juggada. And Samuel started bopping, and the holy men started bopping, and from behind their big rock, the 3 commandos started bopping, and Samuel started swaying his hips, and the holy men started swaying their hips, and the 3 commandos started swaying their hips, and praise the Lord went Samuel, and praise the Lord went the holy men, and praise the Lord went the 3 commandos, and they danced out from behind the big rock and started moving and grooving and getting on down. "And what do you want?" said Samuel. "We want to be holy men," said the commandos. A month later, Saul sent up 3 more commandos. And praise the Lord, Samuel started bopping, and the holy men started bopping, and the 3 commandos started bopping. 3 months later, Saul had run out of commandos. "I'll just have to go myself," he said. And he hid behind the big rock. And praise the Lord, Samuel started bopping, and the holy men started bopping, and Saul couldn't resist it. He rushed out from behind his big rock, and he was shouting and kicking and waving his arms around, and praise the Lord, the sweat was pouring off his body, and he ripped off his shirt, and he ripped off his trousers, and he threw away his pants, and he was dancing and screaming and yelling, totally naked for hour after hour, until he collapsed, exhausted, onto the altar and burst into tears. "Where's David? Where's Samuel?" he cried. "Why have you left me? Where have you gone?" Hidden below the rock, the 2 men watched as this once proud king grovelled in the dust. "David," said the old holy man, "the time has almost come." "What time?" said David. "The time for you to become king of the Israelites."